I called my neighbor and asked her if she wanted to take my husband's big tool. Good afternoon, everyone on the Pagan Channel Secrets. Today I have an intense story about infidelity. My name is Emma. I am 29 years old and my husband Owen is the same age. We have been married for 6 years. Although we are young, we have achieved a lot. We have our own house, a car, and stable jobs in technology companies. We live in Raleigh, the capital of North Carolina. I know many people will think that Raleigh is a quiet city, but Raleigh is not quiet at all. It is a big city, full of life and opportunities. From the beginning of this year, soon after we moved into our new house, we bought this house in a planned community, where the houses are almost identical. We were the first to move in, and the first thing we did was to build a fence around the house. Safety first. It was at this time that our neighbor Emily and her daughter moved next door, because since there were hardly any people around, we naturally got close. As good neighbors, we even helped her build a fence. She was an amazing woman, a woman of about 45 years old, but she had a body that would make anyone stop and stare. As a single mother, she was a teacher of Spanish and other languages. I admit that even I found it hard to envy her figure. She was an attractive woman. Everything seemed to be in order until I started to notice something strange. One day I came home to find my husband Owen, hiding in our bedroom on the second floor, staring out the window with an unusual expression. Our window faced Emily's kitchen. Her window was large, so it was easy to see everything that was going on inside. When I walked into the room, I put him in the bedroom. Startled, my husband was so focused he didn't even notice my arrival. I was surprised because Owen was usually so relaxed and playful, but in that moment it seemed like he was trying to hide something. I asked him what he was doing and he stammered, "No, I was just checking to see if the wall needed any adjustments." He then gave me a quick kiss and left the room without even looking me in the eyes. This made me a little uneasy. He wasn't like that, and his hasty departure increased my curiosity. Once he left, I moved closer to the window to see what he was looking at with such interest. Emily was washing the dishes wearing a cleavage-revealing blazer. The view from our room gave us the perfect view of this scene, and it was then that I realized why my husband was so fascinated. Emily was indeed very beautiful. I am not going to lie. I was a little jealous and attracted at the same time. I knew she was beautiful, but seeing her attract my husband's attention like that made me wonder if Owen liked her. Before continuing with the true description of infidelity, don't forget to leave your likes and subscribe to the channel. After that, I left the room. It took me a long time to forget the picture in my mind. I went downstairs to find my husband. He was in the garage tinkering with his car. I approached him without saying anything and kissed him right there. I whispered to him to let him do whatever he wanted to me. At that moment, he looked at me with a surprised expression. Although it was something I did often, our relationship had always been tense. We stood together in the garage. Adrenaline flowed through our bodies. I approached, very gently, almost close to his ear, asking in a provocative tone, "Do you want to take away our neighbor's love? If you ask nicely, I'll let you." I barely finished the sentence when he paused for a moment and looked at me deeply. He didn't need to say anything. His reaction then and there gave me the answer I needed. He was a little quiet after we finished. Then he asked me if I was serious about my suggestion. I looked at him to confirm. Of course, why not? It was then that he asked me if I really agreed. If this was something I wanted to do. I smiled and agreed. After all, I also thought Emily was an amazing woman. I admit that I even imagined the three of us together a few times. The surprise on his face was obvious. We went back to the house and talked about how we could invite Emily to do something more intimate. The truth was that we didn't know how to do it because I had never experienced anything like this before, but the desire was there. It was something we had fantasized about for years, either with another couple or with one woman. I had confessed to my husband at the beginning of our relationship years ago that I was attracted to some women, although I had never acted on it. I had always been curious and wanted to take the next step. Now it seemed that moment might be closer than I thought. After much discussion and planning, we came to the conclusion that the best way to take the first step was to invite Emily to dinner, just the three of us. Since I knew her better, I took on the responsibility of inviting her. I put on my slippers and went straight to my neighbor. I decided to share my husband with my neighbor. The clock ticked to 8 o'clock. I decided to take a shower and started getting ready. As the water poured down, my mind was already racing. Imagining Emily's kiss, her touch on my skin. She really awakened something inside me. Something stronger than curiosity. This time the desire was stronger. Unlike before, when I only fantasized. Now I wanted to experience it. I wanted to know what it would feel like to be with another woman. I finished my shower and dressed carefully, thinking about every detail. I chose new sexy red lingerie and turned on the lights. The white dress subtly accentuated my curves, completing the look. I wore beautiful heels with a simple but provocative look. I wanted to be irresistible. And I was. Owen also looked impeccable as always. A true movie star. With his natural way of attracting attention. He wore light jeans that accentuated his body. And a black dress shirt. With a few buttons open on the chest. Making him look even more charming. He exuded an elegant scent. Together we were a perfect couple. Seeing me that night, our people will be attracted. We were ready and eager for that special night. After taking care of the last details of the dinner, I placed the grilled fish on the table. With great care. Carefully placing the plates, cutlery, and glasses. Each item was carefully positioned. The atmosphere was perfect for welcoming Emily. While we were finishing our preparations, we suddenly heard the doorbell ring. Our eyes met. I said with a nervous and provocative smile. There was no turning back now. Owen looked at me with a gleam in his eyes. He agreed. Said he was ready for whatever was next. I asked him to prepare our wine glasses while I went to the door to pick Emily up. I walked towards the door with my heart beating faster. When I opened it, she was there. Emily had a shy look on her face, but a true view of beauty. Her simple makeup accentuated her looks. And the black dress she wore, a little shorter than mine, fitted her body perfectly. The fabric molded her thick thighs and accentuated her wide hips. Highlighted the slender waist that fascinated me. It was impossible not to notice that dress. Enhanced her curves in an irresistible way. We greeted each other with a warm hug. I kissed her cheek softly, inviting her. "You're welcome," I murmured with a hint of mischief in my voice. As I watched her walk into our home, I couldn't wait to see how everything would unfold. Emily's presence lit up the atmosphere. I felt like we were about to start a night of discovery, where limits would be tested and the deepest desires would be tested. Finally coming true. When my neighbor came in, she headed straight for the living room, where she found my husband Owen, carrying 2 glasses of wine. He greeted her warmly, pulling her into his arms, while praising her beauty and grace. "You look amazing, Emily," he said, and I couldn't help but notice. The energy between them was instantaneous. Owen handed the glasses to Emily and me, and then went back to the kitchen to get my own. I settled down on the couch. We started chatting as soon as he joined us. I smiled mischievously, taking the opportunity to ask Emily how she maintained such a beautiful, well-proportioned body she answered with twinkling eyes, telling me that she had been training for years, always active in the gym and eating healthy. I hadn't put sugar in my mouth for years. She smiled and said, knowingly she was very disciplined about herself, how proud I laughed at the situation and commented that I was going to start following in her footsteps and become a beautiful woman like her. But to my surprise, Emily corrected me without hesitation, saying that I was already beautiful and didn't need any of this. Her sincerity and compliments left me a little embarrassed, but at the same time increased my desire to see how far the evening could take us. We began chatting animatedly, and the wine kept flowing. I realized that Emily was really enjoying being a part of the evening. There was something soothing about her attitude. It was obvious that she was a woman who felt very lonely. My husband didn't hesitate to ask her if she lived alone with her daughter. It was then that Emily shared her story. I am a widow, she said with an expression that was a mixture of desire and strength. She said that her ex-husband had left 8 years ago because of a tumor, leaving her alone to raise their daughter. Since then, life has turned her into a lone warrior who is dedicated to taking care of the little girl and taking all the responsibilities alone. I was curious and driven by the intimate atmosphere we created. I asked her if there was anything special about her. For example, boyfriend. She shook her head with a sad smile on her lips and explained that soon after her husband died, her life changed completely. I had to work harder, paying bills and debts alone. No time for anything. She said it with such sincerity that I admired her even more. But now I bought a new house. I feel more at ease. I invited my neighbor to my home, and my husband and I spent an unforgettable evening with her. My husband, not missing any opportunity to tease her, asked Emily if she really rejected everyone like that. Because it's hard to understand that a beautiful and strong woman like her could be lonely out of sheer willpower. She replied with an infectious smile. Oh, I'm always hit on. But I still like to be alone. I need to have a real connection with that person in order to give myself to them. Everything seems so superficial nowadays. I agreed with her. Admire her sincerity. That's why I decided to focus on my life now. Maybe I'll find it later, she added with a glimmer of determination in her eyes. But in a vulnerable moment, she admitted that sometimes she wants to have one person, but eventually relieved herself alone. We laughed at this confession. I couldn't help but comment. It's so easy for us women to relieve ourselves, especially with so many toys out there. The conversation became more intimate. Laughter floated between us, creating a relaxed and easy atmosphere. Emily seemed comfortable at every moment. I felt like we were breaking down barriers, sharing not just stories, but mutual understanding desires and finding connections. After lots of conversation and some fun and unusual gossip, we decided it was time for dinner. We sat down at the table, already a bit happy from the wine, and started to wolf down the food. It was delicious. Emily kept complimenting me. Jokes that she wants to come over and eat with us every day. I couldn't let the comment get through and replied that but she had to give me something for us. Special reward. She was a little surprised, looking at my husband with a naughty smile, before starting to laugh, taking advantage of the light mood. I said it was nothing. She couldn't give, hugged her, joked about the situation. The atmosphere was relaxed. As the conversation went on, the laughter became more frequent. We ate until we couldn't stand it anymore. The food and wine increased our joy. After clearing the plates, we decided to continue our private party. In the backyard. I went out and turned on some orange lights to make the atmosphere cozy. We had a huge wooden table, surrounded by several chairs. The backyard had an inviting atmosphere, perfect for extending the night. We sat down again, with wine glasses in hand. The conversation continued, more intimate and full of complicity. With the help of the wine, the conversation flowed easily. We started exploring the details of our intimate relationship. Emily became more and more comfortable, talking about everything without filters. I realized she was really curious about our lives. We told each other how we met, shared our dreams, and talked about our work. That's when my husband, already relaxed from the wine, unthinkingly asked if Emily had any crazy experiences. The question surprised her. She looked at him with a confused expression and asked him to explain further. My husband said bluntly with a mischievous smile, "You know Emily's crazy things we did when we were just starting to discover everything about ourselves." Her answer was quick and to the point. "So you're asking me if I've been with more than one man? Have I been with couples? Have I had any of these crazy experiences?" Her sincerity and candor made the conversation more interesting, and I couldn't help but admire her courage to discuss it so naturally. I remained silent and observed their interaction, but Emily was super calm and uninhibited. When she commented that she had wanted to do these crazy things but never had the chance, she explained that her ex-husband was a bit systematized and that was why she never had the courage to share her desires with him. Her honesty was admirable and only added to the intimacy we created that night. It was then that I decided to join the conversation and asked her if there was a chance that she would do something crazy like that. To my surprise and that of everyone else present, she looked me in the eyes and said yes, that she would be happy to and nothing would stop her. She smiled, which showed that she was feeling more and more comfortable. The atmosphere seemed to change after her answer and was filled with anticipation. Emily had a curious look on her face and turned to us and asked that this was why I came here to be with you. Her question startled my husband and me. We stood there looking at each other, not knowing what to say. The atmosphere was filled with anticipation, but Emily broke the silence with a revelation. Owen and I opened our mouths. Owen smiled confidently and said, "I noticed you staring at me through the window. And I love it. I feel beautiful when you do that." The way she spoke was so natural and direct. At that moment, the yard seemed to vibrate with her sincerity. She continued, "I always listen to you in the room. When you are in an intimate moment, I admit I always want to hear you. Not to mention you are a beautiful and interesting couple." Her confession floated in the air. I could see the surprised look and the look of adoration on my husband's face. "If I said anything wrong, I'm sorry," Emily added quickly. "But with you I feel so real." After that revelation, silence fell over us. But I quickly took the initiative to break the tension. I looked Emily straight in the eye and told her that not only my husband, but I was looking at her too. It was impossible not to notice that. We were mesmerized by her. Her body, the way she carried herself, her beauty, everything. I continued with a provocative smile. "We would like to make a proposal. It would not change our friendship." The atmosphere was thick with anticipation. I could feel everyone's heartbeats speeding up. So I gathered my courage and said, "Yes, we want you to be with us. My husband and I are both attracted to you." I bluntly declared. The sincerity in my words seemed to open a door to a new path. Emily's response was very quick. She looked me in the eyes. The light in her eyes showed that she was considering the proposal. Before continuing with the true account of infidelity, don't forget to leave your likes and subscribes to the channel. Finally, Emily looked at us with an inviting smile and said that she would agree. But it would not go anywhere. She made it clear that she did not want our friendship to be affected in any way. We agreed on the spot because that was exactly what we wanted. Someone we could trust. No complications. And someone we could trust. That my husband took the initiative and suggested that we get up and finish this conversation inside. More precisely in the bedroom. We walked to the door together. Before we entered, I stood by Emily. I looked Emily in the eye. With a gentle gesture, I kissed her softly on the lips. Her reaction was instantaneous. The light in her eyes showed that she was really enjoying it. Owen watched everything with a satisfied smile. Then we started to have fun in the bedroom. We laughed together. Nervousness and anxiety mixed together as we crossed the threshold, hands clasped together, ready to explore a new phase of our friendship in an intimate and playful way. In the bedroom, we wasted no time and immediately began to kiss Emily. She was already relaxed. Soon she was kissing us too. With a strong desire, it was as if all the fantasies she had accumulated over the years had finally come true. That night, the three of us completely gave ourselves up to explore a new world of pleasure and intimacy. It was the best experience. My husband and I there had been. Laughter whispers. Touches blended into the senses. A dance that united us in a unique way. After so many hours of intensity and fun, we finally settled down to sleep together, wrapped in a warm embrace. We woke up happily, as if we had been lovers for a long time. An air of ease and relaxation enveloped us. The connection between us seemed even stronger. We got up and decided to take a bath together, laughing and joking as the hot water poured over us. The flame of passion was still burning. We wanted to make the most of Emily's presence. Unfortunately, reality knocked at the door. She reminded us that she had to leave, as her daughter would arrive in a few hours. It was time to say goodbye. We closed our eyes with a kiss that carried the promise of new adventures. I looked into her eyes and asked her to come back later today, because we wanted to enjoy more of their incredible chemistry. Emily smiled and shook her head with a playful smile. "I'm not that age yet," she said, but the twinkle in her eyes showed that she was as interested as we were. "I'll think about it," she added, letting out a mischievous giggle. It was clear that deep down, she was also thinking of coming back a few more times. After that incredible experience we had with our neighbors, we decided to repeat the adventure several times. We loved this new phase of our lives, filled with the joy of discovery and sharing. With each encounter, the connection between the three of us grows stronger and stronger. It is exciting and the complicity that forms is undeniable. Now at the end of 2024, one of us agreed to spend the new year at the beach house where we live in Miami. The idea is to make the most of every moment. Sun, sea, and many new experiences await us. We can't wait to see what this escape has in store for us. If you like, I promise to come back and tell you everything that will happen on this trip. Tell me in the comments if you are looking forward to hearing the latest news. Until the next meeting full of stories and adventures.